Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Nice. Okay, so here there's a photo of you're in a large space, hooked way above, like the ceilings are really tall. Hooked high are four dresses / jalabas. My heritage is Moroccan, so it could be kind of more traditional dress. They're long robes, nice, beautiful colors. So one's not quite crimson, but it's this like reddish tone. One is this emerald one is yellow, and one is more kind of like a pattern. And you're kind of peeking through. Does this
yeah, I'm with you.
This photo? Okay.
I'm with you. This time we got it.
Looking at the photographer. You're very elegantly dressed. I can't guess what you're trying to communicate with this photo. It's an interior shot. There's only one plant. There's no other furniture except for these four dresses or robes kind of hooked up on the ceiling. Yeah. So what's this photo?
So that was taken in this apartment, and it was taken quite recently because I'm off to Milan in June for a big event. It's like a trade fair for industrial machinery in the fashion industry.
Oh wow!
It's called ITMA, and it happens every 4 years. And the reason I'm going is because within all the sustainability hoo-ha, I kind of gravitated more and more towards fashion, not because I'm a big fashion fan or a fashionable person, simply because I found that when you're talking to people, there seem to be two gateway drugs when it comes to sustainability. That's food and fashion, because everybody does it and everybody has to do it. So if you're talking about food or if you're talking about fashion, you've got people's attention and you've got their buy-in because they're directly engaged. So I ended up going with the fashion route simply because that's how the cards landed. But in the meantime, since I left Hong Kong and moved to Malaysia, I spent a lot of time in Singapore, and my partner, not Alex, another partner from Hong Kong, moved to Singapore, and together we started working again on consulting for fashion brands and in the fashion industry, and kind of curating creative solutions to the problems that they face, whatever those problems should be. We kind of make it happen. And then in the meantime, we were joined by another partner. So now we're 3, and we've got a sustainable fashion startup. And part of what we're doing is still very early development, so there's not a lot being said about it. But we're going to Milan in June. And this image was created to kind of put a lot across social media platforms, simply just to say, I'm going to Milan to ITMA for this event, very excited. Because that's what I do. I just wear weird things and I hang things up, and our apartment looks more like an art installation than anything else. And my husband's okay with it. He's kind of given up. When we were living in Hong Kong, we had this small apartment, and I was working on a project where I would collect cellophane and roll it, a bit like a dung beetle. I was trying to see how much I could collect and how much I could roll. Turns out I can roll quite a lot, but it also took up a lot of our apartment. And I did say to him, look, if this is too much, please do let me go. No. And he's just like, it's fine. Enjoy it. I'm like, great. So here I've got a lot more space. Lucky for him. So I just hang things and I play around with things. Wearing secondhand fashion is very important to me. It's something I started doing in 2017, just as a little dare. What would happen if I didn't buy new clothing for a year? And I put it online, and people were, as people are, very opinionated. Wow, that's not a big deal, said some. Oh my gosh, are you going to be okay, said others. What are you going to do for underwear was also a question. So before I knew it, I realized that I'd kind of inadvertently struck a chord with people in either direction. Long story short on that one, it's been 6 years that I haven't bought any new clothes. So
nice.
I think for me, when I wear clothes, I don't see it as a fashion statement. I see it as a conversation starter, because people might compliment you and like, oh, I like your trousers. And within 2 minutes, that conversation turns into something way more interesting than trousers. It's just an invitation to open another conversation. So hanging clothes up in my apartment, making weird photos, or just, I don't know, odd photos is something I do as self-entertainment, communication, and opening channels to meet other people and to just to catch their attention sometimes.
Yeah, like now. With this podcast. Okay, so does your fashion startup have a name?
It does. It's called The Future Kind.
The Future Kind. Oh, what a beautiful name. Nice. It's very nice.
Thank you.
It's very nice. Okay, so
You can ask me questions. I'll answer as best I can.
but this is how it works.
Yeah.
We're just talking. We're just talking. So I'm just trying to think, like, the thing with fashion, there's the whole issue of supply chain and everything. Okay, so coming from Montreal, where I came from originally, Montreal is I just think North America, certainly Canada, there's way more of this history or just presence of thrift shops, of secondhand stores. And in Hong Kong, that's, it's changing, it's increasing. But even though it's like secondhand clothing, it's all premium stuff that's super expensive. And it's like, right, like it's not like the thrift shop experience like you would get in North America. Or how do you understand the economics, I guess, of secondhand clothes and its impact?
That's a good question, and I think it's
Finally.
a lot of. I underscore that they were all good questions, but I think that it's a topic that's getting a lot of attention lately for a whole bunch of reasons. There's, again, as with everything, multiple layers, right? So secondhand fashion has elements of economic disposability. It has elements of inclusivity, ability to actually get the products, people putting products online and putting way big markups on it and people getting upset about that.
Sure.
It's, as with everything in this planet nowadays, it's ripe for controversy and non-controversial elements. So my take is this, that if I wanted to, I would like to be a sustainable fashion consumer, or buyer rather. I do not like the word consumer, participant. But I don't have the interest or bandwidth or energy to read all the labels and keep up to date with who's producing what this textile is. Can I recycle it here? What is the chemical dyes being used? What's the labor condition? What's the factory doing? Who's being cancelled? Right. Who's greenwashing? I can't be asked. So for me, I feel it's just easier, or it's more enjoyable. Actually, for the first year, I wasn't going to buy anything at all. The deal wasn't, I'm going to just secondhand shop for the first year. It was, I am just not going to buy anything. And that did happen for the first year. I didn't buy anything. And unsurprisingly, I had a lot of clothes that I could just wear, as most of us do. And somebody actually commented, they say, but you have enough clothes as it is. And it's absolutely true. However, the question is, we don't buy clothes because we need them. We buy clothes for a whole bunch of other reasons. And I'm talking about certain, this is not a generalization. I'm talking about specific groups of people or majorities of people. But this to say that Hong Kong is an interesting space because, again, you've got this psychological or this cultural propensity to believe that things are dirty or they're unclean. And hello, coronavirus, that just ramped up all the whatever. But also there's the cultural things, for example, shoes, people believing that you're stepping into the shoes of deceased people, therefore carrying their energy with them. I mean, it's endless, the number of reasons why people align one direction or another. For me, after the first year of not buying anything, I started to understand a little bit more about the joy that fashion brings or clothing brings, right? And there is joy in it. Of course there is. That's why we do it. So I started thinking I started understanding why I wanted to buy. And that informed me in a really helpful way because it wasn't just this knee-jerk reaction. It wasn't just the conditioning. It was more nuanced. But that led me to say, okay, well, let me try and see what's around in Hong Kong. And it turns out that in Hong Kong, there are fantastic secondhand shops, to my mind, such as the Salvation Army, which is a personal favorite. And then you've got organizations like Green Ladies, who really hit the marker when it comes to price point, style, curation of products, customer experience. They do a brilliant job of the shop layout. And then you get your more premium luxury fashion brands, or secondhand concierge, which can only really exist in a city like Hong Kong because you've got that clientele, and you've got you have
the suppliers as well,
exactly.
Right? Like we're going to.
You're not going to find that even in Singapore. It's limited. So this to say that I am a fan of it because to me, secondhand fashion slows me down by default. I don't walk into a space and go, okay, pink dress, here I come. The clothes choose me. It's the Cinderella moment where does it fit?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. So I will spend hours and days and maybe come out with one piece. And that to me is this natural, I enjoy the hunt. I enjoy seeking things out. It's part of my travel itinerary. When I go to new cities, my first thing to do is where are the charity shops, where are the vegan breakfast spots? And that's where I start my experience, which takes me down some very dodgy roads very often. And I don't necessarily recommend it to everyone because, man, it gets very dark very fast. But that said, I do enjoy it.
So why Penang?
Oh, my husband, I'm putting that one straight on him. That is, he got a job offer here and we said, okay, why not?
Yeah.
It was time to leave Hong Kong. So,
So how long have you lived out there now?
1 year.
Okay. So, and how long did you live in Hong Kong?
About on and off about 9 years.
Okay. So we get shaped by our environment and we get shaped by either the culture or the geography, the landscape, all the very obvious stuff and then the not so obvious stuff. So now you're living in this place that is, I mean, the pendulum doesn't just go left and right. It goes in many, many different dimensions and directions. And so now the pendulum that you're in is in one direction that is quite different that most people listening to this could anchor, could understand, right? You've come from South Africa. Yeah, you have this worldly exposure. And so what happened to you in terms of going there, in terms of how that influenced the what's it called? The
future kind.
Future kind, yeah. So how has that shaped your thinking?
The geography or the future kind? Both.
You know, my questions make no sense, but you just have to answer the one you think that I asked.
Let me do that. It's funny that because when I was in Hong Kong, I was part of a group called the Circular Community Hong Kong, and it was just this very organic group that grew out of people wanting to talk about sustainable fashion, which quickly turned into everything else because every industry needs this conversation. Within that group, it kind of sprouted out in different geographies. There's one in Singapore. And that one in Singapore had an interesting name in it. This woman had a Dutch-sounding surname, but then there was an Indian surname. And I was curious, and I just sent her a message on LinkedIn, and I connected with her, and I said, by the way, I spent a lot of time in Singapore, and I'd love to meet up for a coffee next time I'm there. So I landed in Singapore in March last year and met up with my partner, Christina, and we went to meet this third person, Nicole. And just an informal chat within 2 hours, we're like, right, we're going to start something. And within 1 week, we're having meetings and stuff. So it was a very organic drive to just, we see these problems in the industry. We're not coming at it from a big brand angle. We're actually coming quite under the radar. And we're going to try and hit the mark that we see as the most overlooked and the least sexy. So we're really kind of... we're moving slowly and quietly, but I hope that our impact is meaningful because that's why we do this. We're all spending time out of our other jobs and things to do this. And it's been a year of commitment and it's quite exciting because we come from very different directions. Nicole's more science, Christina's more education. She's a professor at SCAD. And then I'm coming more from the media journalism. And together we're just looking at this from a very big angle going, hey, here's the problem, how are we going to solve it? So it's really kind of, like rolling up our sleeves and just getting on with it. And it's been a real joy because, again, everybody's got stuff going on, but we're just so committed to this that we just keep on. And we've agreed this is a marathon. We're not just going to come up with this, sexy Instagram page and jazz hands and like, hey, here we are. We're actually really trying to build something that will run even if we leave it or hand it over or whatever. We just want to build it. So,
well, I love it, and just want to build it and let it run. And let's go on to the next photo. So, is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.